All right, shalom, shalom. First and foremost, I'd like to give all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rakak double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone for teaching us truth, and salutations to the sincere Akim and Aqua that may listen. May the blessing of election be upon your house. My name is Brother Raquai. I'm back in here with another quick lesson, and for today's lesson, I just want to go through this quick brief excerpt in one of the chapters in Nehemiah, and it was a lesson, not a lesson, excuse me. It was a quick, there was a couple precepts there that really moved me, that actually really inspired this lesson in regards to servitude, and in regards to, like, even paralleling that, essentially, with our own walk as well. But anyways, what I'm going to do is I want to jump right into the couple excerpts, and then, Lord's will is always Yahweh Ratizah, Yahweh willing, that this lesson may be edifying, right? So without further ado, let's get into the excerpt here. Okay, so this is Nehemiah, the 5th chapter. So what I want to do is start I want to start at the 15th verse, right? And I want to read down. So this is in the GNT. So it says, Nehemiah 5 and 15, it says, every governor who had been in office before me had a burden to the people and had demanded 40 pieces of silver a day for food and wine. So essentially, there were a lot of our people that were being oppressed by other Israelite leaders, right, and committing acts of usury, right, and that's not something we're supposed to do. And when you read earlier up in the chapter, it says that a lot of them were, they had a lot of the people who were being oppressed. Essentially, they had to mortgage off their their vineyards and so on and so forth. So a lot of our people were being oppressed. On top of that, you had even this is during the time of that second beast that you read about in Daniel 7. So during this particular time, you still had a lot of taxes being placed on our people, by the Persian government, right? um so where was I? So it says, continuing on, it says, even their servants had oppressed the people. So you had a lot of people acting very wickedly, right? Going into the usury and so on and so forth, right? But I acted differently because I honored the Most High Yahweh. I put all my energy into rebuilding the wall and did not acquire any property. Everyone who worked for me joined in the rebuilding. It says, I regularly fed at my people, 150 of the, I'm just going to say, Israelite people and their leaders, besides all the people who came to me from the surrounding nations. Every day I served one beef, 6 of the best sheep, and many chickens. And every 10 days I provided a fresh supply of wine. But I knew what heavy burdens the people had to bear, and so I did not claim the allowance the governor was entitled to. Right. So so essentially, Nehemiah was in a position where he had a lot of, I guess you can call it, status, like what people would refer to today, right? And if there was anything that Nehemiah displayed in this particular situation, was understanding the what's it called, the the afflictions that our people were going through, right? And encouraging our people to get right, because a lot of their leaders were oppressing them, right? So it says, and so I did not claim the allowance the governor was entitled to. Verse 19, it says, I pray you, O Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, remember to my credit everything that I've done for this people, right? So why am I reading this? Why am I bringing this up? It's, when you look at, like, when you strip away the where it says the beef, the chickens, the sheep, the supply of wine, so on and so forth. Today, what are we feeding our people? We're feeding our people wisdom, knowledge, and understanding that's going to comfort them, that's going to actually give them understanding, so they can be stable during these times. That's why, for example, these lessons are so important. They're essentially like they're a labor of love, so to speak, right? And we're not feeding our people, with actual physical food, you know, but we're feeding them with this word, right? And this is what the people need, understanding of the scriptures, understanding of your heritage, understanding of who you are, who your enemies are, how your enemy fights, this, that, and the third, right? Understanding the nature of your people, right? And understanding that repentance is only for, a small group of people, the repentance is only for Israel, right? And so on and so forth, right? It's essentially, it's giving our people understanding. And another thing I also wanted to touch on um in this particular verse, that our people, not our people, excuse me, Nehemiah, is not like he was serving um the people who were being oppressed. He was serving our people, right? He wasn't trying to scheme them. He wasn't trying to, essentially trying to afflict them even more, further the affliction, so on and so forth, right? I want to get two precepts, right, before I actually ramble on. Um, just forgive me on that. Is it 20 and 22? No. Just bear with me, I think. Oh, 22 and 22. Okay. This is Proverbs 22, verse 22. It says, "Rob not the poor because he is poor, neither oppress the afflicted in the gate." Right? So we're not supposed to, um, like, for example, if you're walking down the street, we're not supposed to, take advantage of him, and take the change that's out of his out of his cup, so to speak, if he has a cup there. And I'm saying that in this, also in a spiritual sense. We're not supposed to rob from our own people, right? Because our people are already in a very, very desolate state, right? So why would you rob from our own people? All right. And this is the kind of mentality that a lot of other Israelite camps embody. They don't actually want and truly desire to help our people. They want to essentially continue to charge and try and get money out of them. And our people are at the bottom. Our people are poor. Our people are the afflicted. They're without constitution, right? Um, so my next precept I wanted to get, this is one of my favorites. So just bear with me on this. Because Yahushua said that a man should not live by bread alone. That but every word that proceeded out of this book, to roughly paraphrase, right? It says, this is Isaiah. Okay, Isaiah 55 verse 1, and it says, "Ho, everyone that thirsteth, come ye to the waters, and he that hath no money, come ye, buy and eat. Yea, come and buy wine and milk without money and without price," right? So these are come and buy. So essentially, we invest, our time and energy, into getting the understanding of who we are, right? So, and on top of that, it says without money and without price. So, when you hear these different lessons, when you hear the apostles and elders on down, other brothers teaching around the world, preaching on the highways and the byways and so on and so forth, they're not charging you for this wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. Like it says in Matthew's 10, it's freely received, freely given. Verse 2, it says, "Wherefore do ye spend money for that which is not bread? and your labor that satisfieth not. Hearken diligently unto me, and excuse me, and eat ye which is good. Let your soul delight itself in fatness. Incline your ear and come unto me. Hear and your soul shall live, right? Because our people in the congregation of the dead, right? And this is what America does. It's a wilderness full of wayward doctrines that keep our people dry, and they're drinking from cisterns that can hold no water, right? It says, and I will make an everlasting covenant with you, even the sure mercies of David, right? And even when you go through David's backstory, the Lord had mercy on him because um, he was a man after the Most High's heart. But even more as well, I just wanted to add as well, because even if that was the case, David had sins as well, right? Adultery, and that was one of the things that he had to pay for, right? But essentially what we want is the Lord to cover us from our sins, Lord's will that he does, right? And that's one of the precepts that really, really stuck to me. In the last verse here, it says, I pray you, O Yahweh, remember to my credit everything I have done for this people. So in that spirit of wanting the Lord to remember us, especially in times to come, especially during those times, right? It says, what was I going to go? Oh, okay. Okay. This is Habakkuk chapter 3, verse 2, and it says, O Lord, I have heard thy speech, I was afraid. O Lord Yahweh, revive thy work in the midst of the years, and in the midst of the years make known in wrath, remember mercy, right? So we want the Lord to be able to remember us in these particular times, right? And what's also important about this act of servitude, I really, really wanted to touch on as well, is the fact that Nehemiah is a good example of an individual. He had, I don't want to say he had like substance, but he had status and rank during this particular time, right? And but what was one of the things that he continued to carry the most throughout this particular time was the fact that he still had and maintained a healthy fear of the Lord, one, and two, he still had integrity, because he's explaining and outlining that, oh, I did not act the way these other governors acted. I did not act as these other Israelite leaders acted, right? Because a lot of our Israelite leaders at that time were doing a lot of shady stuff, like the usury, like I was referring to, right? And so another point I really, really just wanted to touch on is the fact that, okay, even though, um, Nehemiah was the type of individual, he had, even though he had substance, even though he had a good position, right? Think about your own life. Like a lot of us, most of us don't really have, I don't want to say a prestigious position per se, right? But, what makes us, very honorable in Yahweh Bashim Yahushai is because we carry that fear of the Lord, right? And that makes us shine, and that makes us stand out, right? As a matter of fact, let me get that. Hold on, just bear with me. If it's 1 and 11. Okay, Nehemiah 1 and 11, and it says, O Lord, I beseech thee, let now thine ear be attentive to the prayer of thy servant, and to the prayer of thy servants who desire to fear thy name and prosper. I pray thee, thy servant this day, and grant him mercy in the sight of this man. For I was the king's cupbearer, right? So Nehemiah was a cupbearer for, I believe it was Artaxerxes the king. So Just to get an idea, let's actually just look this up real quick. Just to get an understanding of what Nehemiah was actually doing and the kind of role that he had. Okay, this is This is Wikipedia. Cupbearer. It says a cupbearer was historically an officer of high rank in royal courts, whose duty was to pour and serve drinks at the royal table. On account of constant fear of plots and intrigues, such as poisoning, a person had to be regarded as thoroughly trustworthy, right? So that's the point here. They had to be very, very trustworthy. A person had to be regarded as thoroughly trustworthy to hold the position. He would guard against poison in the king's cup and was sometimes required to swallow some of the drink before serving it. His confidential relations with the king often gave him a position of great influence. The position of cupbearer has been greatly valued and given only to a select few throughout history, right? So this was an honorable position that Nehemiah had, right? But the point really is that, okay, this person, he had to be in a very trustworthy, he had to be a very honorable person, right? And you could see his actions, you could see the way he actually, when you read the 5th chapter, and amongst other parts of the parts of the book as well, you see the character shine, right? Wisdom maketh a man's face to shine. I think it goes into Nehemiah down here, but I won't get into all that too much. But that's really the point I really wanted to bring out, is the character that he displayed, right? That was completely in contrast to the way a lot of these other governors had displayed, a lot of these Israelite leaders had displayed. And you see that still today, because a lot of them are robbing from our own people. And that's not the way they should be doing. They shouldn't be charging for breakdowns, or charging for marriage counseling, or charging for a Hebrew name, and so on and so forth, or Hebrew prayer. Like, but anyways, let me get, oh, Salakia. Okay, Zephaniah 2 verse 3, it says, Seek ye the Lord Yahweh, all ye meek of the earth, which ye have wrought his judgment, seek righteousness, and seek meekness. It may be, ye shall be hid in the day of the Lord's anger, right? And that's so important, because with the love of many waxing cold, with Spurs creative of vengeance and all this kind of stuff that's going on in the world, wars and rumors of wars. We want the Lord to be able to hide us and remember us, during his time of wrath and indignation and so on and so forth upon his kingdom, right? So this is why I'm bringing out the servitude and the character and so on and so forth of our forefathers, right? Like the scriptures talk about searching the way of your forefathers, to roughly paraphrase, right? So we can get wisdom and understanding of how to conduct yourselves during these particular times, right? So I think I'll just end off on this last precept here. Okay, it says Proverbs 11:4. It says, riches profit not in a day of wrath, but righteousness delivereth from death, right? So that's plain and simple, right? The riches that, and I'm using Nehemiah as a good example as well, because he had substance, right? But the acts that he performed, the Lord will remember those things. And that's exactly, just if we're paralleling him and even ourselves in our own walks, in our own lives, we want the Lord to remember these particular things that we did during this grace period, right? So anyways, I'll leave it there. But hopefully I didn't ramble on too much, but hopefully it was edifying. I'd just like to give out praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. Till next time, I say Shalom.